Why the Jews rejected Jesus. The truth no one dares to preach. In the tapestry of human history, few threads are as richly woven with expectation and longing as the story of faith. Across time and cultures, people have sought a deeper connection with the divine, yearning for signs that their beliefs are not in vain. This journey is often filled with moments of profound doubt and unwavering conviction, as individuals wrestle with the promises of their faith against the backdrop of their lived experiences. Imagine standing at the crossroads of hope and reality, where ancient prophecies whisper of a future yet to come. For centuries, the Jewish people held on to the promise of a Messiah, a beacon of hope and redemption. This figure was envisioned as a king, a leader who would restore their nation's glory and bring justice and peace. Yet when faced with the harsh realities of Roman oppression, the juxtaposition of these promises with their current struggles became a profound challenge. In this realm of expectation, a new voice emerged, speaking of a kingdom not confined to earthly realms. Jesus of Nazareth entered the scene, performing wonders and sharing teachings that stirred the hearts of many. His message was one of love, humility, and spiritual awakening, calling people to look beyond the physical and into the soul's eternal journey. Yet, this vision diverged from the anticipated political liberation, creating a tension between the spiritual and earthly expectations. As we delve into this story, we embark on a journey that explores the complexities of faith, the nature of divine promise, and the essence of human hope. This narrative invites us to reflect on our own expectations and the ways in which they shape our spiritual journeys. In this exploration, we seek to understand how ancient prophecies and modern beliefs converge, offering insights into the universal quest for truth and meaning. Together, we will uncover the heart of a shared hope, bridging the divides that often separate us in our pursuit of the divine. Section 1. Prophecies and Promises. Understanding the Jewish vision of the Messiah. The Jewish vision of the Messiah is deeply rooted in the rich tapestry of prophecies and promises found throughout the Hebrew Scriptures. These ancient texts paint a picture of a figure who would usher in an era of peace and divine justice, a beacon of hope for a people often beset by trials and tribulations. To fully grasp this vision, we need to delve into the promises made to the patriarchs and the prophecies spoken by the prophets. Consider the promise made to Abraham in Genesis 12:3, where God declares, "Through you, all the families of the earth will be blessed." This promise hinted at a future where the Messiah would be a source of blessing, not just for Israel, but for the entire world. This foundational promise set the stage for the expectation of a figure who would bring about a new era of spiritual renewal and global harmony. The prophet Isaiah provides some of the most vivid descriptions of the Messiah. In Isaiah 9:6-7 he writes, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulder, and his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there will be no end." These words evoke an image of a leader who embodies divine wisdom and power, bringing everlasting peace and justice. Jeremiah 23:5-6 speaks of a righteous branch from David's line who will reign wisely and execute justice. This passage reinforces the expectation of a kingly figure, a direct descendant of David who would restore Israel's fortunes and establish righteousness. Yet the vision of the Messiah is not solely about political or earthly power. It also encompasses spiritual renewal and transformation. The Messiah is seen as a shepherd, a healer, and a bringer of peace. Micah 5:2 foretells of a ruler coming from Bethlehem whose origins are from of old, from ancient times. This prophecy highlights the eternal nature of the Messiah's mission and his humble beginnings. As we explore these prophecies, we find a confluence of expectations. A leader who will restore the kingdom, a spiritual guide who will renew the covenant, and a divine presence who will bridge the gap between God and humanity. This complex and multifaceted vision is at the heart of the Jewish hope for the Messiah, a hope that has sustained them through centuries of waiting and longing. In understanding these prophecies and promises, we begin to see the profound impact they have on shaping the expectations and yearnings of the Jewish people. As we continue this journey, we'll explore how these ancient hopes intersect with the arrival of Jesus, and how they challenge us to reflect on our own spiritual expectations and journeys. Section 2. The Roman Yoke. Yearning for liberation and sovereignty. In the first century, the Jewish people found themselves under the heavy hand of Roman occupation. This period was marked by a profound sense of both oppression and anticipation. Under the Roman yoke, the Jewish people yearned for freedom and the restoration of their sovereignty, a return to the days when their nation was led by kings like David and Solomon, who were anointed by God and served as symbols of divine favor and national pride. The Roman Empire, with its vast army and efficient administration, imposed taxes and laws that often clashed with Jewish customs and religious practices. The presence of Roman soldiers and the influence of pagan culture in their daily lives only added to the sense of alienation and longing for a messianic deliverer. This deliverer, many believed, would be a powerful political and military leader who would overthrow the oppressors and restore the kingdom of Israel. The scriptures fueled this hope. Passages such as Isaiah 9:6-7, which speaks of a government on the shoulders of a child who will reign on David's throne, and Zechariah 9:10, which prophesies a king coming to bring peace, resonated deeply with a people in search of liberation. These prophecies painted a picture of a future where justice and righteousness would prevail, and the people would live in peace under the rule of a divinely appointed leader. Yet the reality of Roman dominance was harsh and unyielding. Taxes were high, and any dissent was met with swift and brutal punishment. The crucifixion of rebels, a common Roman practice, served as a grim reminder of the empire's might. Amid this oppression, groups like the Zealots emerged, advocating for active resistance against Roman rule and inspiring hope, but also fear, among the populace. However, not all sought liberation through force. Some communities, such as the Essenes, withdrew from society, seeking purity and awaiting divine intervention. Others turned to prayer and spiritual renewal, hoping that repentance and faithfulness to the covenant would hasten the arrival of the Messiah. In this context, the message of Jesus, who spoke of a kingdom not of this world, John 18:36, was both perplexing and challenging. His teachings emphasized love, forgiveness, and inner transformation over political revolution. To many, this was a radical departure from the expected path to liberation. As Jesus declared in Luke 4:18-19, he came to proclaim liberty to the captives and set at liberty those who are oppressed. Yet his approach was one of spiritual emancipation rather than military conquest. The tension between the desire for political sovereignty and the invitation to embrace a different kind of kingdom, a spiritual reign characterized by justice, mercy, and humility, remained a central challenge for those who encountered Jesus. It called for a reimagining of what true liberation meant, not just for the nation, but for the soul. This was, and continues to be, a profound journey for believers, inviting them to look beyond immediate circumstances and trust in a divine plan that transcends earthly powers. Section 3. A kingdom not of this world. The spiritual versus the earthly expectations. In the time of Jesus, the Jewish people were under the heavy burden of Roman rule. They longed for a Messiah who would liberate them from oppression and restore the kingdom of Israel to its former glory. The expectation was for a leader who would wield political power and establish a sovereign nation. However, Jesus brought a message that confounded many. His kingdom was not of this world. When Jesus stood before Pilate, he declared, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, My servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jewish leaders. But now my kingdom is from another place. John 18:36. This statement was revolutionary. It meant that the kingdom he was talking about transcended earthly power and politics. It was a kingdom of the heart, a spiritual realm where God's will would be done on earth as it is in heaven. This concept was difficult to grasp. Many of Jesus' followers were hoping for immediate, tangible results: freedom from Roman rule and the establishment of a new earthly kingdom. But Jesus offered something deeper and more profound. He spoke of the kingdom of God as something that grows quietly, like a mustard seed, and as something that cannot be observed with the eyes but is within and among us. Luke 17:20-31. The Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5-7, further illustrates this spiritual kingdom's values. Blessed are the poor in spirit, the meek, those who hunger for righteousness, and the peacemakers. These were not the attributes of conquering kings, but of humble hearts attuned to God's presence. The challenge for those listening was to shift their expectations from the temporal to the eternal. Jesus invited them to store treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. The kingdom he spoke of required a transformation of the heart, a new way of seeing and being in the world. This spiritual kingdom, while not visible in the traditional sense, was powerful and transformative. It was a call to live by love, to forgive, and to serve others selflessly. Jesus exemplified this through his life, teaching his followers that true greatness in his kingdom is found in servanthood. Understanding this duality of expectations helps bridge the gap between faiths and interpretations. It opens the door to a deeper exploration of what it means to live a life aligned with divine will, one that seeks peace, justice, and love beyond the limitations of this world. Section 4. The Suffering Servant. Reconciling Power with Humility. In the tapestry of expectations surrounding the Messiah, perhaps one of the most surprising threads is that of the suffering servant, a figure that seems to embody an unexpected blend of power and humility. This concept challenges our understanding of leadership and strength, pushing us to reconsider what true greatness looks like. The Jewish scriptures, specifically in Isaiah 53, present a vivid picture of this servant. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And as one from whom men hide their faces he was despised, and we esteemed him not. Isaiah 50. This passage paints a portrait of suffering that seems at odds with the anticipated triumphant ruler who would liberate Israel. Yet it is within this suffering that a deeper power is revealed, a power not to dominate but to transform. Jesus' life and ministry exemplify this paradox. While many expected a Messiah who would overthrow the Roman oppressors with might and force, Jesus instead chose the path of humility and service. Philippians 2:7-8 describes this beautifully. But made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. And being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. This act of humility, of choosing to serve rather than be served, becomes a profound expression of divine power. Through his suffering and ultimate sacrifice, Jesus demonstrated a love and strength that could not be contained by earthly expectations. His power lay not in military conquest but in the ability to touch hearts, heal souls, and bring about a kingdom that transcends worldly boundaries. We are invited to reflect on this example as we navigate our own lives. How often do we equate power with control or dominance? The suffering servant challenges us to see that true power is found in humility and selflessness. It whispers to us that in our own struggles and trials, there is an opportunity for transformation and grace. As we reconcile this vision of power with humility, we find a deeper connection to the divine, one that calls us to emulate this servant-hearted approach in our interactions with others. It is a call to live with compassion, to seek justice through peace, and to wield influence not through force, but through love. Section 5. The Law and the New Covenant. Tradition meets transformation. In the heart of Jewish tradition, the law given through Moses stands as a cornerstone of identity and faith. It is more than a set of rules. It is a covenant, a sacred bond between God and His people, guiding them in righteousness and holiness. The law defines the rhythm of daily life, from dietary practices to the observance of the Sabbath, shaping a community bound by shared faith and devotion. Yet as we journey into the New Testament, we encounter a profound transformation. Jesus speaks of a new covenant, one not written on tablets of stone but on the hearts of believers. This shift is radical, as it calls for an internalization of God's commandments, bringing a deeper, more personal relationship with the divine. It is a fulfillment of the prophecy found in Jeremiah 3:1-3, where God declares, "I will put my law in their minds and write it on their hearts. I will be their God and they will be my people." Jesus himself becomes the embodiment of this new covenant. In the Gospel of Matthew, he clarifies his mission, saying, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them but to fulfill them." Matthew. Here lies a delicate balance, honoring the traditions while ushering in a transformative era. Jesus emphasizes the spirit of the law over the letter, teaching that love and mercy outweigh mere ritualistic observance. The Apostle Paul further explores this theme in his letters, particularly in Romans 7:6, where he writes, "But now, by dying to what once bound us, we have been released from the law so that we serve in the new way of the Spirit, and not in the old way of the written code." This new way of the Spirit represents a liberation from the constraints of the law, inviting believers into a life led by grace and faith. The challenge for early followers of Jesus, and indeed for many today, was reconciling this transformation with their deeply cherished traditions. How does one honor the past while embracing the future? This question resonates across the ages, inviting each of us to reflect on our own spiritual journeys. In the end, the new covenant does not discard the old, but fulfills it in a way that breathes life into faith. It calls us to a dynamic relationship with God, one that is both ancient and ever new. This transformation is not just about changing practices, but about transforming hearts, aligning them with the divine love that transcends all understanding. Section 6. Signs and Wonders, the miracles of Jesus and their reception. The miracles of Jesus have always been a source of awe and wonder, capturing the imagination and stirring the hearts of those who hear of them. From turning water into wine at a wedding in Cana, John 2:1-11, to feeding thousands with just a few loaves and fishes, Matthew 14:13-21, these acts were not just displays of power, but deeply symbolic gestures that spoke to the hopes and needs of the people. Many who witnessed these miracles saw them as signs of a divine presence, affirming that Jesus was indeed a figure of profound spiritual significance. The healing of the blind, such as in John 9, where a man born blind receives his sight, speaks to a deeper vision, a call for spiritual awakening and recognition of truth. The raising of Lazarus from the dead in John 11:1-34 is not only a testament to Jesus' power over life and death, but also a profound declaration of hope and renewal that resonated with the longing for salvation and eternal life. However, not everyone received these miracles with open hearts. Some viewed them with skepticism or fear, questioning the source of Jesus' power and authority. The Pharisees, for instance, often challenged Jesus, seeking to understand or dismiss his actions within their established religious frameworks. Matthew. This division in reception highlights the tension between faith and doubt, the struggle to reconcile traditional beliefs with the new and transformative message that Jesus brought. For those who believed, the miracles were not merely acts of wonder, but invitations to a deeper faith, a challenge to see beyond the physical to the spiritual truths they represented. As Jesus himself said in John 14:11, "Believe me when I say that I am in the Father and the Father is in me," or at least believe on the evidence of the works themselves. In essence, the miracles were a call to trust in something greater than oneself, to open one's heart to possibilities beyond the ordinary. They were reminders of the divine love and compassion that seeks to heal, restore, and bring light into the darkest corners of human experience. Each miracle was a stepping stone on the journey of faith, encouraging all who witnessed or heard of them to ponder their meaning and to seek a deeper connection with the divine. Section 7. The Heart's Awakening, Personal and Collective Spiritual Journeys. In the grand tapestry of faith, personal and collective spiritual journeys often serve as the vibrant threads that bring depth and color to the experience of belief. Each individual's path is unique, yet interwoven with the stories of others, creating a rich mosaic of faith and doubt, hope and discovery. For many, the journey begins with a stirring in the heart, a quiet yet insistent call that beckons them to explore deeper truths. This awakening is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is a gentle whisper that grows stronger over time. It is reminiscent of the journey of the disciples, who, though initially hesitant and unsure, found themselves transformed through their encounters with Jesus. As they walked with him, their hearts burned with a newfound understanding and, as described in Luke 24:32, the disciples on the road to Emmaus remarked, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he talked with us on the road and opened the scriptures to us?" This awakening is often marked by moments of profound insight and revelation, where the veil between the earthly and the divine feels thin. These are the times when the spiritual becomes tangible, when faith transcends mere belief and becomes a lived experience. Yet it is also in the quiet, unremarkable moments through prayer, reflection, and the simple acts of love and kindness that the heart finds its deepest connection to the divine. Collectively, these individual awakenings contribute to a broader spiritual movement. Communities of faith are built upon shared experiences, where personal stories of transformation inspire and uplift others. The early church, as described in Acts 2:42-47, is a testament to the power of collective faith. Believers came together devoting themselves to teaching, fellowship, and prayer, creating a community that was both spiritually vibrant and deeply connected. This shared journey often requires navigating the tension between doubt and belief, tradition and innovation. It calls for a willingness to embrace the unknown and to trust in a path that unfolds one step at a time. The Apostle Paul speaks to this tension in Philippians 3:13, where he encourages believers to forget what is behind and strain toward what is ahead, pressing on toward the goal of their heavenly calling. Ultimately, the heart's awakening is a journey towards love. Love for God, for oneself, and for others. It is a journey that invites us to see beyond our own experiences and to recognize the divine spark in every person we encounter. In this way, personal and collective spiritual journeys become a shared hope, a testament to the enduring power of faith and the boundless possibilities of a life awakened to the divine. Conclusion: a unified quest for divine understanding. In our exploration of the Jewish vision of the Messiah and the Christian interpretation through the life and teachings of Jesus, we find a profound tapestry of faith, hope, and expectation. Both traditions are rooted in a deep yearning for connection with the divine, a longing for a world where justice, peace, and righteousness reign supreme. Despite the differences in how these hopes are interpreted and realized, at the core lies a shared quest for divine understanding and fulfillment. The Jewish anticipation of a Messiah is steeped in prophecies, as foretold by prophets like Isaiah and Jeremiah, envisioning a time when God would establish his kingdom on earth. Isaiah speaks of a future where the wolf shall dwell with the lamb. Isaiah 11:6 symbolizing a time of peace and harmony. Similarly, Jeremiah promises a new covenant where God's law is written on the hearts of his people. Jeremiah 31:33. In the Christian tradition, Jesus is seen as the fulfillment of these prophecies, yet his kingdom is described as not of this world. John 18:36. This spiritual kingdom challenges earthly expectations, inviting followers to a transformation of heart and mind. Jesus' teachings, such as the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5-7, emphasize humility, mercy, and love, reflecting a kingdom built on spiritual truths rather than political power. The suffering servant motif, found in Isaiah 53, is another profound connection between the traditions. It offers a vision of redemption through suffering, a theme embraced in Christianity through the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus. This paradox of power, through humility, invites believers to reconsider the nature of true strength and leadership. Ultimately, the pursuit of divine truth transcends individual traditions. It calls for a dialogue that respects the rich heritage of Judaism and the transformative message of Christianity. As Paul writes in his letter to the Romans, "For if their rejection means the reconciliation of the world, what will their acceptance mean but life from the dead?" Romans 11:15. This speaks to the potential of unity and understanding, a shared hope that bridges faiths and peoples. In this quest for divine understanding, we are reminded of the words of Jesus. "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied." Matthew. It is this hunger and thirst that drives both Jews and Christians forward, a longing for a world aligned with God's will, a world where faith is made sight and hope is fulfilled. May the journey towards this shared hope continue to inspire dialogue, compassion, and unity among all who seek the divine truth.